The Trumpet Daily program begins right now.
Today's world news, what it means, where it's taking us.
I bring you the one and only possible message of world peace.
This is a message of hope, tremendous hope. And he said unto me, you must prophesy again.
The Trumpet Daily program begins right now.
You observed that there had been contacts between members of Mr. Trump's staff and Russian officials. Right. You noted that Trump benefited from the hacks. Your spokesman, Josh Earnest, has gone on to say this week that it's obvious that Trump knew what was going on. To what extent are you suggesting some kind of cooperation between the president-elect and Russian officials here?
Well, I'm not suggesting cooperation at all. Keep in mind that those statements were in the context of everyone now acting surprised by the CIA assessment that this was done purposely to improve Trump's chances. And my only point was that shouldn't be treated as a blockbuster because that was the worst kept secret in this town. Everybody understood that. It was reported on.
Why do you think Barack Obama did that? He'd served 8 years. He was going out on a high. What was he so frightened of with Donald Trump that he needed to sabotage him?
I haven't seen any intelligence that reflects his inner thoughts or intentions with this. But again, I think you can take a step back and just recognize at face value, if Hillary Clinton had won that election, this would not have happened. It could only happen and could only really be motivated by the Obama administration and the president himself being unhappy with the fact that the American people chose President Trump over Hillary Clinton.
A repudiation really of him and his 8 years.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That first bit there is from Obama, the dear leader, December 19th, 2016. There's a long story in Just the News today, taking you through that transition, almost like it's a Trumpet article from what, 7-8 years ago? We drew attention to it from the beginning. The plot to overthrow Donald Trump's presidency the first time around. And there you saw the dear leader. He only ordered, all the way up to December 6th. After the election in December, or rather November of 2016, the intelligence, Barack Obama's intelligence community, said that no Russian meddling to speak of. And then on December 6th, the dear leader ordered the intel community to change its assessment. And then they went through the motions. Okay, we're going to start this assessment research and we'll have it released before Obama leaves office. But as I've pointed out before, the results of the ICA, that was determined from the beginning when they leaked it to the Washington Post and the New York Times. And there is the dear leader, just 10 days after the leaks. And what was it, 20 or 30 days before the assessment was even completed? Well, maybe 10 or 15 days. Still, he's on there with NPR saying, yeah, these are the results. What did he say? The CIA assessment that this was done, Russia interfering, to improve Trump's chances. And then there's Miranda Devine with Tulsi Gabbard, the one that's pushing for accountability. There's Tulsi Gabbard saying, yeah, well, once Hillary lost, incredibly so, that ruined the legacy of Obama. And so he unleashed the deep state against Donald Trump. You're listening to Stephen Flurry, and this is the Trumpet Daily. We appreciate you joining us on today's show. You can get to the live video stream of this program at trumpetdaily.com or at the Rumble channel. Just go to rumble.com/Trumpet Daily. Again, the timeline, and we've gone through this before on the program. We went through it years ago, and it's great to see Just the News and others now going back to 2016 and 17, that transition period where the devil was at work. Oh, yes, he wanted to blot out even the name of Israel. And he nearly did it. But God wouldn't let it happen. I won't take the time to go through all the more recent miracles with the head tilt and everything that happened last year. But just to take you back to that transition period, the dates, Obama ordered the intel to be revised on December 6th. That's right before December 7th, the anniversary of my father's firing back in 1989. The beginning of this 40-day period that we've drawn attention to so often. He orders the intel to be revised, to be changed, to carry out basically an intel flip-flop. That's December 6, 2016. Then December 9, all the leaks to the media, the regime media, they were prepared and ready to perpetuate, to spread, to dispense with this propaganda, with this lie that's now being exposed. And then December 19, just 10 days later, before the assessment was even completed, the dear leader is there saying, well, it's obvious. It's obvious that Russia meddled in the election to help Trump. And then the assessment, I think it was completed on December 30th of that year. And then it was released, as we know, on January 6th. And then what was it? January 10, when CNN we've played the clips before, Shudo and Tapper with their earpieces and the mic that's right in front of their mouth, coming on TV with very serious tones. I mean, this is very serious. Serious with like 5, maybe 6 R's. Because they wanted you to know that Donald Trump, who's about to be inaugurated, is a Russian agent. He's working for Vladimir Putin. Putin is blackmailing him. I mean, to just look back on this, it's so crazy. It was crazy from the start. And then now, finally you have someone, after all these committee hearings, after all of these, these classified testimonies, so many people know, so many people in the swamp, they know all about this. They knew Adam Schiff was lying. They knew that Obama's lying. Brennan, Clapper, Comey, and all these people that steal documents and that illegally leak them to the New York Times, and they've just been getting away with it for 10 years. Are they going to be held to account? We'll see. We will see. This is from America Under Attack. Again, Sam on the program yesterday, subbing in for me, he went through some of the parallels between what we've seen happen in the United States, and what was happening in God's church back in the late 80s and the early 90s. Just incredible, really. I mean, this morning I'm going through Raising the Ruins myself. Even though I wrote it, it's been so long, it's refreshing to read it again. But to just look at the transition, you talk about transitions from Herbert Armstrong, the very last year of his ministry, and then the beginning of that Laodicean movement. I mean, you could say the absolute peak interest in God's church and the truth it was disseminating. It was right there at the end of 1985, the start of 1986. I mentioned in chapter 2 of Raising the Ruins how Joe DeKoch Jr. in 97, he comes out with this tell-all book about this incredible transformation, the way he sees it. The book was called Transformed by Truth. And he quotes there's people on the back cover and the inside flap that are talking, just raving about how great this book was. And they're all from the evangelical community. They were the ones that were applauding this deceitful, dishonest, satanic transformation in the worldwide Church of God. And if it was so compelling, if it was so unprecedented, you would think a few more people would want to read about that story. As it was, I think it was 30,000, maybe a little more for Transformed by Truth. And then Mike Fazell comes out with his big tell-all book saying that in the spiritual sense, Mr. Armstrong raped the members that came into the Worldwide Church of God. Okay. And I think it's 10,000 or less that actually read that book. Meanwhile, 10 years before all of that nonsense, that despicable account of the way they viewed the history, you had Herbert Armstrong, right at peak levels in 1985, and Mystery of the Ages just going out to hundreds of thousands, even millions. It was well on its way to going into the households of millions of people before the Tekach people discontinued it and destroyed all remaining copies. They try to tell you that it was Mr. Armstrong that was abusive? No, they came in and destroyed that work. They destroyed all of its successes. They destroyed Mr. Armstrong's legacy. And then the numbers tell you all you need to know about their legacy. It's a legacy of destruction. Nobody cared to read about it. They didn't want to study it. The church just imploded, and the only people that applauded this were evangelicals or those that were, cult watchers. The tables did finally turn when we obtained the rights to Mystery of the Ages and all of his writings. Then we wrote Raising the Ruins to tell the story, the inside story of what actually happened. This is from America Under Attack. Again, just to consider the parallels for a moment. I know Sam took you through some of this yesterday. But it says, once Donald Trump became president, something else extraordinary happened. His presidency temporarily stopped the forces destroying the country. Mrs. Clinton's stated goal was to continue the legacy of Barack Obama. This is what everybody was expecting. This is what the deep state was expecting. This is what the dear leader was expecting. Yeah, Hillary comes in. She just continues Obama's legacy. And so there's Obama before the election in 2016 say there is no way that the Russians or anyone could ever interfere with our elections. It's too decentralized and all these things. I mean, the results of this election are going to be sure. They're going to be certain. It's going to be perfect. And then Trump wins. Well, now hang on a second. We've got to reassess the situation. I think the Russians meddled. I mean, it's so obvious what they were doing. I mean, just common sense. You don't even need these documents that Tulsi Gabbard and others are releasing. But, it's nice to see it in print. It's nice to see the facts. I mean, the legal world has to have the facts in print. They've practically got to see the crime on video before they'll ever do anything about it. But it's amazing to see this push, this movement now that's gaining momentum. There has to be accountability. There has to be some punishment here, or else it's going to happen again, and and next time it's going to be even worse. If these traitors know they can get away with it, well, they'll just continue right on and destroy the object that they hate, their political opponent, the political opposition. If she had become president, my father wrote, the ruinous trends of the Obama presidency would have continued and intensified. Many people, including me, believe it would have meant an end to our constitutional republic. It says Barack Obama spent his 8 years as president doing exactly the opposite of what he told Mr. Trump, advancing his agenda to weaken those democratic institutions and traditions in pursuit of his supreme goal of fundamentally transforming the United States of America. It says after he left office, Obama continued to pursue this goal. Yeah, he used the deep state, set up a shadow government, moved down the street from the White House, kept giving out the orders to Brennan and all the rest. Well, I guess Brennan was out when Trump came in, but Comey, Rosenstein, Mueller, and on it goes. There's even reports this week that, who was it? Jeff Sessions, I think it was, that Obama's people maneuvered to get him in there just so that he could sabotage the Trump presidency. Because you'll remember when all the Russia thing came out, Sessions recused himself and basically handed it over to Rosenstein, who handed it over to Mueller. I mean, this is insurrection on steroids. And as Doug Murray says, look, if they had this long drawn out commission where the January 6th commission, where they invite in Hollywood producers and they stretch out these hearings and they try to prop up this fake narrative. If that's all for January 6th, where nobody died, nobody was murdered except Ashley Babbitt and perhaps Roseanne Boyle, Trump supporters, they've got a months-long commission. I think it went years. And you had Kinzinger crying, remember, with the Capitol Hill police? How amazing is it? The Democrats loved Kinzinger. Just to get on a tangent here for a second, and Sam touched on this yesterday. But here, the Democrats, they loved crying Kissinger. What's his name? Adam Kinzinger. There we go. I was going to say Kissinger. That's way, way back. Adam Kinzinger. He represented a district in Illinois, which was later removed entirely because of redistricting. That's called gerrymandering. You've probably heard a lot about that this week. So the Democrats come in there and they say, hey, let's make it even more radical leftist. And so Kinzinger lost his job because of it. The rhino Republican who loved to cry in front of the cameras. And as far as another tangent is concerned, does the gerrymandering in Illinois or California or Massachusetts, or just look at some of these districts. Sam showed you Illinois yesterday. Look at California. Look at Texas. I mean, in a lot of ways, what the Texas Republicans are doing is they're going in and correcting what the radical left has accomplished previously. Stretching out these districts that go from Austin to San Antonio, and it's tiny like a little snake. You know, pick up all the radical leftists in that corridor, and then there you go. You've got a congressional district, and you can get a Democrat into Washington that way. I mean, that happens all the time, all over the country, and it's been gerrymandering. It's named after a Democrat. So for these Democrats to act like it's a Holocaust now, or like it's the end of democracy, they're the ones who ended Kinzinger's career because they love them some gerrymandering. So there you go. I mean, this, as I was telling one of my colleagues yesterday, the whole head and the body is sick. How do you fix this? I'll get to crime and violence in D.C. and everywhere else in a little bit later if I have time. But how do you fix this sickness? I mean, even if you hold a few to account, is that going to correct the problem? Is that going to eliminate the cancer that just keeps right on spreading? I mean, coming back to the January 6th commission, look at what the Democrats did with the help of the regime media and even Hollywood producers to create and to promote a fake narrative, a lie, propaganda. Now, it's nice to see Comer out there saying, you know, we're going to call in the Clintons and whoever else. Maybe we'll get some testimony, some testifying under oath. I'll have to see it to believe it. The day they waltz the Clintons into a congressional hearing, I'll be watching. That should be interesting. Probably won't happen, but who knows? Maybe God's setting a trap for them. I'll get to that later. But here's Doug Murray commenting on Sky News Australia about the Russia hoax and, you know, whether there's going to be testimonies, hearings regarding this greatest scandal in U.S. history, at least looking at it politically. Clip 7.
Why is there no such committee like the January 6th committee about the 2016 to 2020 Russia hoax? This involved very senior people, and some of them will still be there. And I think it is absolutely crucial that this wound should be closed by finding out what went on, who it was who pushed it, and why it is they got away with it.
I think there has to be not just complete transparency now, but some consequences just to restore trust in the whole process, and also to prevent this from happening again. There's got to be some disincentive other than being named and shamed, because this was such a shameful period, and the media's complicity in it, as you explained, was notable.
There's got to be some transparency here. And as I've said before, I mean, good for Tulsi Gabbard and good for Donald Trump to get up and admit that, yeah, I went easy on Hillary Clinton the first time around. I was too nice, but I've learned my lesson. How are you going to stop this if you don't go after them? I mean, and again, this is where we are. This many years, this many centuries into the American experiment. It's Donald Trump, basically, getting into the gutter with the Democrats. You want to gerrymander California and Illinois? Fine. Well, we'll do Texas and maybe Florida later. Like I say, just the spirit behind all of this. I mean, what Trump's doing at least demonstrates a fighting spirit. Because for the longest time, how does Texas even get redrawn? Texas, I mean, where they have a Republican majority, it seems, all the time. How do these weak, spineless rhino Republicans allow Democrats, even if they're in the minority, to create this little district from San Antonio to Austin so that the Democrats can get another seat? It takes a little bit of backbone to say, no, you're not going to do it. Or in Trump's case, well, if you're going to do it in Illinois and Massachusetts and California, then we're going to do it in Texas. There you go. And then you see what happens. The Democrats in Texas, they go running for Pritzker, whatever his name is, in Chicago. And he gives them a nice hotel. I mean, it's like a paid vacation. And these people are, I mean, they're guilty of felonies, basically. What a system. And as General Flynn pointed out on Charlie Kirk's show, I mean, yeah, there's Pam Bondi, and it's easy to kind of just put the focus on her. Well, I hope she does something, and at least she's doing a few things. You have to give her some credit for that. But as General Flynn points out, I mean, Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, he's also the chief law enforcement officer of the country. I mean, look at what Barack Obama did in 2016. He didn't just know about this coup, this rolling coup. He ordered it. And through it all, he's telling the DOJ what to do. He told Loretta Lynch what to do with respect to Hillary Clinton. And he's telling CBS 60 Minutes and the press corps, I don't tell anybody what to do. I'm independent, or they're independent of my presidency. Yeah, they've decided this on their own. What happened? Supposing Barack Obama, the dear leader, supposing he does have immunity, and yet the Trump people go hard after Brennan, Clapper, Comey, maybe there's going to be a wise prosecutor that says, hey, you want to lessen the sentence? Then you better spill the beans about the dear leader. You better tell us about Barack Obama. I mean, God says he's going to be exposed. He's already been silenced. You don't even hear from him anymore. But he's got to be sweating bullets because he knows. And Donald Trump said this years ago. We caught them. We caught them red-handed. But you see, it's just taken this many years for people like Tulsi Gabbard to come along and to restore just a little bit of backbone and courage on the conservative side among the Republicans. You've got to stand up to them. Listen to General Flynn on the Charlie Kirk Show, clip 8.
The President of the United States is the President of the United States. He is the Commander-in-Chief, but he's also the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the country, not the Attorney General. And the President's going to have to weigh in from time to time to direct his justice system to follow what I call the constitutional order of our country, to go after and hold to account people like Brennan, people like Jim Comey. And there are going to be others. And once they start that ball rolling and they start holding these people accountable, I think, and frankly, the evidence is there. We don't need years-long investigations. The evidence is there.
It's a good point. Comer and them, they're calling for investigations and committee hearings. But if the evidence is there, it's already before a grand jury, evidently in Florida. I mean, I didn't read much of the news yesterday. I don't know if that's changed, but that was the word coming out Tuesday or so. But the evidence is there. It shouldn't take long for indictments to follow. This article at the Federalist. How do the American people get justice for arguably the greatest political scandal in U.S. history? How do we get justice? Well, again, if we're just going to stick solely to the parallel with the attack on God's church back in the 80s and 90s, and then the lawsuit over the Mystery of the Ages in 97 to 2003, as I mentioned the other day, we didn't get justice in the courts. They were too corrupt. So maybe it won't happen. But this article says this question looms over the Trump administration as Russiagate, or Obamagate, as it perhaps should be known. continues unraveling. Well, he's right. It should be called Obamagate because Obama ordered it. This is worse than Obama knew and turned a blind eye to it. He ordered it. He ordered the intel assessment. He ordered the intel community to reverse its assessment of Russian meddling in the election. It was all brought on by the dear leader, Obamagate. I mean, think for a moment just how different it is today, 10 years on, or perhaps going back to 2008. I mean, I would never forget it. I will never forget. I was in Jerusalem all summer, and Obama's traveling the world, speaking in Germany, campaigning for the election. Hope and change, hope and change. I went to one of his campaign rallies in Illinois. I mean, just the enthusiasm, the fervor. He comes in like God. He can say no wrong. As you know, from America Under Attack, I mean, the regime media, they swooned. And now you've got, and I know this is a conservative outlet, but the guy's saying it should be called Obamagate. He's the one that ordered this scandalous activity, this scandalous criminal rolling coup, insurrection, all of it, the illegal spying, the treason. Tulsi Gabbard's right. She should keep saying it. At least 9 years after this sordid scandal began, it has become ever clearer that at the direction of President Barack Obama, the leader of his national security and intelligence apparatus used and abused their awesome powers to baselessly frame Donald Trump as a traitor. See, they accused Trump of being a traitor, but they are the traitors we now see, obviously. They did this in seeming coordination with foreign governments. In 2016, the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign and the regime media. Even the help of foreign governments. Could there be anything more scandalous than this? The world's single greatest superpower in history, absent justice for Obamagate, the lesson to the conspirators is that they should go even bigger next time. I mean, this would be a catastrophe, they write. If something isn't done this time, the conspirators, as soon as they regain power, and they're still, like Miranda Devine and Tulsi Gabbard discussed the other day on Devine's podcast, I mean, so many of these top-level deep state operatives, they're still there. I mean, Brennan and Comey and them, they've moved on to jobs at MSNBC or CNN. But a lot of their lieutenants are still in power. And this is why, as Tulsi Gabbard has said, it's been so difficult to extract all of this information, these documents that expose the treason. I mean, like this article brings out, they've had 10 years to cover their tracks. And they still haven't been able to do it. I mean, look at the burn bags. I mean, there were some explosive revelations to come out from that. And they were just sitting in a shed somewhere or somewhere inside of the CIA or wherever. Even subpoenaing Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. I think it's only happened twice to a former president, Harry Truman and I believe Donald Trump. They were able to get out of it through the legal system. But as Jim Comer has said, I mean, this time around, the committee, and this is where I think it could be a pretty amazing trap that God has set. But this time around, coming out of the committee, you've got Republicans and Democrats that want the Clintons to be subpoenaed. The Democrats, why? Well, because now you see they're suddenly curious or interested in the Epstein files. So they want Clinton to testify because they just know that if we can just get some testimony, we can finally get Trump. Wouldn't that be amazing if the Clintons have to testify? Because some judge looks at this and says, well, if all the Republicans and Democrats agree on something, that happens like once every 200 years, then, it must be important to do. I'll play you the clips if I have time. I'm looking at the clock, though, seeing that it is fast The fastest moving hour in broadcasting. We're running out of time. This is a clip from Miranda Devine's interview with Tulsi Gabbard earlier this week, clip 3.
When you talk about how do we change this, we have to recognize that both of them, John Brennan and James Clapper, as leaders in the intelligence community, they have their own disciples. They have a lot of their own people that they brought in with them, or that they, mentored in a mirroring of their own image, and many of those people still exist within the intelligence community now. So these documents that we're finding, we are uncovering names of people who were involved with this Russia hoax, this manufactured intelligence document. And finding people whose names would otherwise never be known publicly. And fundamentally, we are working towards making change, institutional change. And this is a major area of focus for me, institutional change that will undo the infrastructure that people like John Brennan and James Clapper built, that allowed these bad actors to thrive and to be promoted into very, very powerful positions within the intelligence community.
Hillary Clinton said this woman here is a Russian agent. You can see why. You can see why. They're guilty of what they accuse their opponents of. Same with Donald Trump. He's a traitor. No, you're the traitor. It turns out, actually, you've been used by Russians and Chinese, everybody else. Been paid off. Look at the Biden crime family, just lining their pockets with tens of millions of dollars from foreign adversaries. Everybody knows it. Everybody saw it. The receipts came in through Comer's committee. And what happened? Zero. Nothing. Nada. Sickness. Head to toe. Isaiah 1. Read it. Read it. I mean, if you look at the first chapter of Mystery of the Ages, who and what is God? There's no more important question than that. Mr. Armstrong opens the chapter by saying he was in New Delhi at some point, and he was in a taxi, and he saw all these cows just roaming the streets. And he asked the driver, well, some of these beasts look like they're pretty far away from their dwelling place, their home farm, or whatever you call it. And the driver says, Mr. Armstrong asked him, how do they get back to their owner? And he said, the ox, the cows, they know where their owner is. And it made Mr. Armstrong think immediately of Isaiah 1, where it says, the ox knows how to get back to his owner, but my people, my children, they don't know me. We have drifted so far from God, and really, to say drifted, it's putting it nicely. We have rejected God. We have shaken our fists defiantly at God. We don't want God involved in our lives. We don't want God to protect us. We don't want God to claim the victories, militarily or otherwise. And we don't want to obey God, His commandments. Just the news. It says, Obama endorsed bogus CIA claims on Trump and Putin before analysis was even finished. You saw it in the cold open. You see it in the leaks. I mean, we were the only ones that drew attention to this. Back in 2017, 2018, go back and watch the shows. The leaks came out as soon as Obama ordered the intel to be reversed. They arrived at the conclusion before they even started working on the assessment. The assessment was just a rubber stamp. And the thing about this article, it gives you the blow-by-blow from December 2016 to January 2017, when Donald Trump first came into office for his first term. Tomorrow's news today. I remember going through so many of these details on this program, Trumpet Daily, and then we had a conference. I think it was at the end of 2018. We had pulled all of this together, and we had a long slideshow and 2-hour presentation here, and I titled it, In Transition. This is what was happening in transition from Obama to Trump. And I went through all those leaks and the December 9 leaks to Washington Post, New York Times, what Obama said at a news conference. I think that was December 16. Total hoax. This article, Just the News. President Barack Obama made public statements as early as mid-December 2016 indicating that he was endorsing a predetermined CIA view about Vladimir Putin allegedly wanting Donald Trump to win and Hillary Clinton to lose. They totally made this up. And in fact, the documents that Tulsi Gabbard has released recently suggest that Putin thought that Hillary was going to win and he was preparing for it. They lie. The intelligence community assessment had not even been completed and was still being debated and drafted. It says the record, bolstered by a newly declassified document, shows that Obama was a central figure. Surprise, surprise. Well, not if you're a viewer of this show. A central figure at key points throughout the Russiagate saga. Obama directed, notice this, central figure. We're in 2025 and we're finally getting around to this. The root cause. Who is the ringleader? I mean, Trump even said that the other day. Obama directed the creation of a new ICA, that's the assessment, on Russian meddling only after Trump was victorious in November of 2016. I mean, that alone should send indictments flying. We'll give him a few more days. We'll see what happens. Obama directed this new ICA as soon as Hillary lost. His legacy, you see, it's in jeopardy. So he unleashed the Get Trump movement. And boy, there's a lot of deep staters involved in it. And they're still there, many of them. Still there, as you heard from Tulsi. It says, Obama endorsed an anonymously leaked CIA assessment on Russian meddling in mid-December 2016 during an interview with NPR roughly 2 weeks before the ICA was finalized in late December 2016. So he's out there basically giving NPR, government funded by the way, NPR, he's giving them the conclusion of an assessment that wouldn't even be finished for another 2 weeks. Biggest political scandal in American history, that's all. It says Obama similarly hinted that he had already come to the conclusion that Russia had allegedly meddled to hurt Clinton and help Trump during a mid-December 2016 White House press conference and a mid-December 2016 appearance on The Daily Show. He was out, they weren't hiding it. They couldn't help themselves. They couldn't wait until January 6th to make it look like, oh, well, the assessment's done and here's my thoughts on it. No, he went out and gave his thoughts on it before it even got started because it was his baby. It was his assessment. I have decided that Russia meddled and Donald Trump cheated and he's a Russian asset. I've determined this. I've decided this. I am Obama. And people swoon before me. This is my truth. And my truth is now your truth. It says here, the Washington Post reported on December 9, 2016, that the CIA has concluded. I've given you this clip before, these leaks before, these reports before. Well, hopefully whoever put this together is watching the Trumpet Daily, because if so, we made it pretty easy for them to put this timeline together. It says here, jumping to conclusions that he ordered, Obama then strongly suggested that Russia had meddled to help Trump, something the ICA had not assessed yet. They hadn't even looked into it. They didn't have time to look into it. Before December 6th, the assessment was, no, they didn't meddle. On December 6th, Obama says, yeah, they did meddle. Now go produce the assessment that proves it. You can't make this up. This is the transition between the dear leader, an Antiochus type, and Donald Trump, a Jeroboam type. What a clash of the minds here. I mean, neither man's perfect. But I mean, this was an attack on the case of Obama. I mean, this was an all-out attack to fundamentally transform and even blot out the United States. And God has used Jeroboam, despite all of his flaws, to intervene and to save America temporarily, to save us from being blotted out, just like he saved Trump from being blotted out with the head tilt. That's right. America experienced a head tilt. We were that far gone. We were that close to being blotted out. And God had to intervene, and he did so miraculously. And many have now acknowledged that as well. It says here, the timeline is key to understanding how Obama's public and preemptive pronouncements fit into the broader shift of the Obama administration's official stance on Russian meddling. It's more than just a shift. It was a complete reversal. Prior to Obama's directive in early December to create the ICA, Obama had been briefed on Clinton plan intelligence, which indicated Clinton was seeking to falsely link Trump to Russia to distract from her own classified email server scandal. We know all of this now. It's in print because of Tulsi Gabbard getting in there, fighting the deep state, and releasing these classified documents, these documents that have been buried, some of them in burn bags that never got burnt. Obama ordered it all. That's what we were saying from the very beginning. That's what you learned in America Under Attack many years ago. Obama ordered it all. You open up the first few pages of America Under Attack, and what do you read about? You read about the dear leader. You read about Barack Obama. And now finally, all this, it's taken a long time. There was a lot of bitter affliction that we had to wade our way through. But they're no longer swooning, that's for sure. Whether he ever goes to jail or not, we'll see. But they certainly aren't swooning, and he has been silenced. And he's been removed in many ways. I mean, yeah, there's still the deep state operatives all over the place. But Trump's putting his people in there this time around. Not Jeff Sessions and some of these others. Bill Barr even, as good as he started out. So many of them weak, just like the Texas Republicans. Sure, you want to create a district, just this tiny, tiny little corridor from San Antonio to Austin? Go ahead, we'll give you a seat. We just want to be nice. We just want to coexist with you. We just want a two-state solution. We want to live side by side with you lovely Democrats. Look at that map again from the show yesterday that Sam showed you. Illinois. It's all the same. Look at a map of California. Gavin Newsom's threatening to gerrymander it even worse. Look at a map of Massachusetts, the congressional districts. These people, their interest is not in bringing health and vitality and strength to the United States of America. They are politically motivated and driven in every respect. And they've gotten away with so many crimes. You heard yesterday on the show with Adam Schiff and all these people. Notice how a lot of them are getting caught doing the crimes they say Donald Trump did. Jim Comer is, as I said, he's subpoenaed the Clintons. And he explains here with Laura Ingraham about how that, yeah, it hasn't happened before. I mean, they've tried to subpoena Harry Truman and Donald Trump. But here's why this time it could be different. This is clip 5.
I can assure you Republicans want transparency more than Democrats, and we're going to do our job. We're going to provide oversight, and I think that we've got an administration that wants to be transparent. So I'm anxious to get started with this, and hopefully we'll be bringing people in very soon to depose them and interview them.
Well, the Clintons aren't going to be deposed. I mean, they're going to fight this till the last man standing here. I mean, if you don't think federal subpoena of Hillary Clinton's going to matter, I mean, she bleached her blackberries or had her staff do it.
Well, it's going to be difficult. There have been 2 presidents in the last century that have been subpoenaed by Congress. I believe that was Harry Truman and Donald Trump, and neither ended up testifying in front of Congress. But we're going to do everything we can. This is different because this subpoena was the direct result of a committee vote, and it was a bipartisan committee vote. The Democrats made a motion in the Oversight Subcommittee to subpoena the Epstein documents, and then Scott Perry from Pennsylvania, a good Republican member, he amended their motion to include subpoenaing the Clintons as well as all the attorneys general who were involved in the Epstein investigation, and the Democrats voted for it. I don't know that they realized what they voted for, but they voted for a subpoena for the Clintons, and because it was voted on by Congress in a bipartisan manner, I think that'll have good standing in court.
The Democrats voted for it. Is this another masterful trap that God has set for the radical left? We'll see. We'll see. Going back to this Just the News article, it says Obama orders a rewrite of intel. The newly declassified House report said that Obama orders a rewrite of 10 assessments on Russian activities during the election on December 6, 2016. The president directed the IC to review their work to date on the Russian influence campaign and quickly produce the new ICA for release in early January. We've got to do this quick. We've got to get this assessment finished. And don't worry, boys, I'll be out there telling everyone the conclusions of the assessment so that you know how that this is going to turn out. You know how to finish this work on the new ICA. The Senate report said that Obama requested this product to be completed by the end of his administration. Mysteriously, for such an important tasking, there was no document memorializing this presidential direction, according to the Senate report. No, he's just saying it in these meetings, getting all of his henchmen together. Listen, I know what the intel said on December 5, but today's December 6, and we're going to change it. We're going to change it dramatically. I mean, it's going to be a complete reversal. That's what we're talking about here. And so, I want you to go leak this to the Washington Post, the New York Times, and then I'm going to be on the circuit, whether it's in press conferences or with NPR. I mean, someone favorable, obviously, one of the regime, one of the swooners. He was directing it all, and at the same time trying not to leave a paper trail. Listen to this from the exchange with Devine and Gabbard, clip 2.
And many of the other positions that they espouse. And fundamentally, it's a spiritual problem where they are putting themselves in the position of believing that they are God, and therefore they are the ones who designate what is true and what is not, what is right and what is wrong. And that's, the most dangerous thing when we look at this whole debate around, what is a woman, what is a man, the denial of objective truth. Once you deny objective truth, you remove all boundaries in society, and it puts themselves in a position again where the thing they care most about is power. And so once you remove all the boundaries, then you can start to see and understand this rapid movement to a level of extreme that I would not have foreseen.
It's a spiritual problem, she says. That's interesting. Coming back to the parallels between what happened in God's church some 30, 40 years ago. They believe they're God. They believe they are the purveyors of truth, and no one else is. So what they say goes. And as she notes there, once you deny objective truth, once you deny facts, then you can remove all the boundaries. And it's just an absolute free-for-all. It's the wild, wild west, headed up by the dear leader. Pretty stunning parallels, really. 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 1-4. I mean, you can read all about these verses in Malachi's message to God's church today. That's the very first book that came out at the beginning of this church, when we were exposing the satanic betrayal that was going on in the worldwide church of God. that all of these cult watchers were applauding and no one else cared to read about or study. I mean, God's people should have cared more. But outsiders, I mean, they didn't care what was happening to this church they knew nothing of. But Mr. Armstrong's work, I mean, there were 140,000 baptized members, or at least attending members in the Worldwide Church of God at the time of his death. Millions of readers, co-workers, those that knew about the church's teachings. 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3, it says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." There was a man of sin right inside of God's church, the son of perdition, a Judas type. It says, "Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped." It says, "So that he as God sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." I mean, if the Tekachas say it, well, it's the truth. And this is how they rammed it all down, the heresy, the betrayal, the destruction, the desolation. This is how they rammed it down the throats of God's people. They just said, we're God. Listen. Doesn't matter. You listen to one of our lieutenants. He's out there talking about the Trinity in a 26 lecture series that makes no sense, that no one can understand. You just take his word for it. That's the way Satan operates. I mean, he intimidates you into submission. He confuses it a little bit, like AUA brings out. And most people throw their hands up and say, I can't figure this out. I'll just sit back and keep my mouth shut. They see themselves as God. My father writes this in Malachi's message. If he is showing himself that he is God, the man of sin must be a very prominent leader. He is showing himself that he is God, not saying he's God. He has great power. He's using this power, not necessarily to tyrannize God's people, but to deceive them. They use their power to deceive, to lie, to steal, to cheat, all those things. It says, however, those who oppose this man of sin by taking a stand for what Christ and Mr. Armstrong taught will be grievously oppressed. They're going to be shut down. They're going to be silenced. Listen to how whistleblowers were dealt with back when people were swooning before Obama and his lieutenants, Clapper, Brennan, Comey, and so on. Clip 4.
Others, like the whistleblowers that I issued a release about today with his accounts and his documents,
saying that he was forced.
He was told, basically, if you don't agree with this assessment, that he said, I don't agree with it because it's not credible. And he was told by one of James Clapper's, that Putin was aspiring to help Trump in the election. He said, well, the intelligence doesn't show that. So I don't agree. And he was told by his superior, who was one of James Clapper's people, basically that if you want to get promoted, you have to agree. You have to agree to this. And, you know, kudos to him. He's a courageous and great American who took his job seriously, as every intelligence professional should. And he refused. He attempted to blow the whistle many times with many different entities, the Intelligence Community Inspector General.
Really?
He was blown off for years.
Wow.
He went on to call his state attorney general. He called his state U.S. Senator, Warner, who served on the intelligence community. He couldn't even get an email address to be able to send the documentation materials to. He tried to reach out to the special counsel Durham's office because he was told, hey, the only way you can do this is if you call the DOJ yourself. He tried that, was blown off, didn't get any serious, didn't have a single serious conversation about anything that he uncovered.
Just listening to that makes me think of the other section in Raising the Ruins, where all of these Laodicean ministers talked about how abusive Mr. Armstrong's government was. And you see how the work under Mr. Armstrong was just absolutely thriving at the end of his life. And so many people were so interested in his teachings. And they were requesting Mystery of the Ages, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. And then you look at the successors. They came in, they kicked you out of the church. They crushed any dissent. And that's the same way, as you heard there, that's the same way that Obama operated. As my father said in AUA, having such a man at the helm in America has produced bitter affliction. The scandalous acts he and his administration perpetrated are too voluminous to count, and yet we go on and make an attempt to list them off. But now he's gone. Now he's been silenced. And now he's been exposed. We'll see how many of them will be held to account in the days and perhaps weeks ahead. I took you over, but I won't charge you for that extra minute. We had to squeeze it in. It's the fastest moving hour in broadcasting. You're listening to Stephen Flurry, and this is the Trumpet Daily. We thank you for joining us on today's show. We'll see you again tomorrow.